All right, this is some help with 4.09. This particular quiz was working with special triangles. So I've got a summary page that gives you the summary for a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. Remember, that's an isosceles right triangle. So these two angles and these two sides are the same. So we can say that this side is S. This side is S, and if we use the Pythagorean theorem, we can find that this side ends up being S times the square root of 2. So if I told you S was 10, this side would be 10, this side would be 10, this would be 10 times the square root of 2. For our sine, cosine, and tangent, this ends up being the sine, cosine, and tangent of a 45-degree angle. Square root of 2 over 2 is the sine. Square root of 2 over 2 is the cosine, because these are the same measure, and our tangent would actually be 1. So if you have a question on the quiz that asks you the sine of a 45-degree angle, this is it. All right, so for a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle, that's another special triangle, so 30, 60, 90. If we look at our sides, we could call the side opposite. This is the shortest leg. The shortest leg is always opposite the lower angle. So this is the least angle, 30. So opposite the 30-degree angle is S. Opposite the 60-degree angle is the square root of 3 times S. And then the hypotenuse is 2 times S. So if I told you this length here was 6, this would be 2 times 6, or 12. This would be 6 times the square root of 3. So some of the questions are going to ask you to find the sides. Some of them might ask the sine of a 30-degree angle is going to be 1 over 2 as a fraction. Cosine, square root of 3 over 2. Tangent, square root of 3 over 3. 60-degree angle, sine is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine is 1/2. Tangent is the square root of 3. So there is one question I think that asks you the sine or cosine of one of these angles. Okay, so the first question on there is going to give you a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle, and they want the length of the hypotenuse when the shorter leg is 6 centimeters. Okay, so here, what you want to do, I've got our little summary page up here for a 30, 60-degree angle. Remember, the shortest leg is opposite the 30 degree. So if we say that shortest leg is 6, notice in our picture here, that's going to be our S value. Okay, don't get it confused with a 5. That is our S value. The hypotenuse, which is what they want, is 2 times S. So if our S value is 2 times S, and S equals 6, then 2 times 6 is going to be, our hypotenuse would be 12. If they ask you for this side here, that would be the square root of 3 times S, so 6 times the square root of 3. All right, number 2, this particular one is a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. And this one is asking you the length of BC. So BC is our other leg here. Our other leg, remember these two are the same. This is S and S. So if this is 7, BC is going to be 7. If I were to ask you the hypotenuse is S times the square root of 2. Our S is 7, so that AC would be 7 times the square root of 2. So this side would be 7 times the square root of 2. All right, this one on a little bit more difficult. They've actually combined. If this is 30, we know this is 60. If this is 45, we know this is 45. And so they want X. X is over here on the 45, but we don't have any of these sides. So the first thing you want to do is find the hypotenuse, which is the hypotenuse of the 45, 45-degree triangle. All right, it's one of the legs of the 30, 60. It's the shortest leg. So let's first look at our ratios for our 30, 60, 90. All right, 30, 60, 90. This side opposite the 30-degree angle is S. So this is going to be S. This is going to actually be 2S. So if we know that 10 times the square root of 2 is equal to 2 times S, then we can easily find S, right? We can divide both sides by 2, and S is going to be 10 times the square root of 2 divided by 2, and so that side is going to be 5 times the square root of 2. All right, so this side now becomes 5 times the square root of 2. All right, so now let's look at our 45 degree triangle. All right, the hypotenuse is S times the square root of 2. So S times the square root of 2 is equal to 5 times the square root of 2. And so we can divide both sides by square root of 2 to find our S value. So if we divide 5 times the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, then S is now 5. And so here our S value, that's going to be 5, and that's going to be 5. So that's how you use this information on this triangle to find this information. The last one is asking you the area of a hexagon. All right, so we have a hexagon here. They give you the area formula. The area formula is going to be 1/2. The small a stands for the apothem, and the perimeter is capital P. So remember, the perimeter is the distance around the figure. The apothem is this figure right here, from the center perpendicular to the side. So this is little a, or apothem. Okay, so easy to find the perimeter, right? Each of these sides are 8. All right, the whole sides are all 8. And so there are 6 sides, 8 times 6. Our capital P is 48. So how did we find this apothem? We're going to use what we've learned for a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. So if I draw in a triangle here, I'm going to just draw. If we draw, there are 6 sides. So this angle, central angle, measures 60. And so half of it is going to be 30. So this triangle here, let me kind of outline the one we're working with. This one here is a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Because if that's 30, this is 60, and we've got our 90. So remember, opposite our 30 degree angle is S. Okay, I've got that over here. Well, we can find S, right? We know this whole is 8. This is a perpendicular bisector. And so this has to be 4. So 4 is equal to our S value. So this side, we need our other leg. So our other leg is going to be, if this is S, opposite the 60 degree angle, is going to be the square root of 3 times S. So if we know S is 4, then this is going to be 4 times the square root of 3. And that becomes our apothem. So 4 times the square root of 3 times 48. And then plug that in, divide by 2. Gives you 166.28. So remember, you're just changing this to a decimal. Put in your calculator the square root of 3 equals times 4 times 48, divide by 2, and that's how you get this number. Hope this helps.